Good afternoon, everyone. Today is September 9th, 2025. It's 3 p.m., and this is a Prescott City Council voting meeting. Mayor Pro Tem, do we have any introductions and announcements today?
We have several, so be patient here. The City of Prescott and Prescott Regional Airport are excited to announce Prescott Airfest 2025, taking place on Saturday, October 4th from 11 o'clock to 3 p.m. at the Ernest A. Love Field. This is a free family-friend event. It invites the community to celebrate aviation and explore one of Northern Arizona's most dynamic transportation hubs. Visitors can expect a day full of engaging activities, including airplanes on display, get up close with a variety of aircraft, food trucks, enjoy local flavors while you explore, military displays, meet the service members, and see equipment on the site. Prescott Fire Department's Touch the Truck, a hands-on experience for kids and families. Speaking of the airport, Prescott Regional Airport and United Airlines, operated by SkyWest, recently announced a second Denver flight. Starting October 7th, you can fly to Denver on 2 different flights to meet your schedule. Additionally, the flight from and to Los Angeles has been moved to earlier in the day to help travelers with connections to other destinations. Thanks to the airport director and his team, as well as folks at United and SkyWest, for increasing convenience for our traveling public. Thank you, Rick. I know you're out there in the audience. Let's see, number 3, the City of Prescott is continuing work on a pavement preservation and maintenance project along Prescott Lakes Parkway between SR 89 and SR 69, and also along SR 89 between Yavapai Connector and the Willow Lake Road roundabout. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the project schedule has been revised. The project is still scheduled to be completed on time. However, the order of the work has changed. On Prescott Lakes Parkway from SR 89 to SR 69, a 2-step pavement preservation application will take place between September 8th and the 18th. Raising utility covers to the finished road grade and roadway striping has been rescheduled to September 24th through the 26th. On SR 89 from Yavapai Connector to the Willow Lake Road roundabout, asphalt milling and paving operations will be underway from September 15th to October 3rd. During this work, you can expect crews working from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. with night work performed as needed. There will be flagging operations and temporary traffic control changes, temporary street closures, lane restrictions, reduced speeds, construction noise, travel delays. Crews will work to maintain business access as best as possible. Number 4, fire restrictions have been lifted, but please continue to be very careful with any outdoor open flames. Stay vigilant and practice fire safety at all times. Finally, on behalf of the entire city, I'd like to extend our deepest condolences to former Mayor Greg Mangarelli and his entire family following the tragic accidental death of his son, Cameron. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. And that's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
We'll now have an invocation from Rabbi Susan Shannerman of the Temple B'rith Shalom, and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by myself.
Mayor Good and council members, thank you for allowing me to offer this prayer as a representative of Temple B'rith Shalom, the largest synagogue in the Quad areas. We have over 115 family units. We welcome you to a Friday night Shabbat service anytime. Spirit of life and love, divine spirit which resides in all. We do not always understand each other. We do not always speak or listen carefully. We often find it difficult to look beyond ourselves to our common purpose, and we cause suffering to each other and ourselves. In this time together, let us be reminded that we seek to understand each other. We seek to speak to each other in truth with compassion. We seek to listen to each other in love with caring. We seek the common good and a life lived in accord with our highest aspirations. We call upon the living Spirit in each of us to make it so. Am Yisrael Chai, and let us say, Amen.
Will everyone please join me in pledging allegiance to our great constitutional republic, this beautiful flag that represents it. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have roll call, please.
Mayor Good,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Cantelmi,
Here.
Councilwoman Fruworth,
Here.
Councilman Gambogi,
I am here.
Councilman Moore,
Here.
and the record will reflect that Councilman Grady and Councilman Montoya are excused from the meeting.
We have two proclamations today. The first one will be Constitution Week, which I will present, and then the International Day of Peace, presented by Mayor Pro Tem Cantelmi.
Okay.
I thought I recognized some daughters of the American Revolution, so I thought it would be very appropriate that I present this proclamation as a son of the American Revolution. Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd, 2025. Whereas September 17th, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to acknowledge official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commence commemorating the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and now, therefore, I, Phil Good, Mayor of the City of Prescott, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2025 as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. Do we have a representative here from the DAR to say a few things or add a few comments?
Several representatives, but we won't all speak.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melanie Carell, and I'm the regent of the General George Crook chapter of the DAR here in Prescott. And you may not know, but it was the DAR that actually established Constitution Week, and then President Eisenhower signed it into law. This was back in 1956, I think. And ever since then, of course, the DAR chapters throughout the nation have really enjoyed and done everything they could to make sure that we all remember the importance of the Constitution and celebrate everything that it does for us. So, Mayor Good, we thank you, and the City Council, we thank you as well for issuing this proclamation. You're continuing a proud history in doing so. Thank you.
And I'm up next. Ladies, would you like to come up? We're going to be celebrating the... And gentlemen. Hi there. Didn't see you. We're going to be celebrating the International Day of Peace on September 25th, 2025. So, whereas the issue of peace embraces the deepest hopes of all peoples and remains humanity's guiding inspiration, and whereas the United States, the United Nations expanded the observance of the International Day of Peace in 2001 to include the call for a day of global ceasefire and nonviolence, and invited all nations of peoples to honor a cessation of hostilities, the duration of the day, and whereas there is growing support within our city for the observance of International Day of Peace, which affirms a vision of our world at peace and fosters cooperation between individuals, organizations, and nations, and whereas global crises impel all citizens to work towards converting humanity's noblest aspirations for world peace into the practical reality of a culture of peace for future generations. And therefore, Phil Good, Mayor of the City of Prescott, does hereby proclaim September 21st, 2025 as International Day of Peace throughout the City of Prescott and urge its commemoration by individuals, organizations, places of worship, and schools. Thank you. Does anybody want to say?
Thank you, Connie. Our mission is to inspire our community to believe in and work toward a more peaceful, sustainable world. Peace Builders is inclusive and committed to building an identity of peace, justice, and mutual respect. And so we plan different events throughout the whole year in the name of peace and community building here in Prescott. This September 21st is Peace Builders' 10th anniversary. We're really proud of that. And so at Creek Park, from 12:45 until about 4:15, we are combining International Day of Peace celebration with our peace concert. That this will be the third year, and so there will be students from La Tierra reading poems about peace. There will be music by five actually really top musical groups in town, and it's for everybody, all ages, sitting under the cottonwood trees. Bring your blankets, bring your coolers, bring your chairs, and enjoy this event. We'd love to have you. Thank you.
Very well. We'll now move on to presentations. We'll have a presentation regarding an update on the housing needs assessment.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Michael McGinnis from the Community Development Department. And I'm going to just provide a little bit of background before Rick Merritt comes up and speaks. In the fall of 2024, the City of Prescott was awarded $200,000 grant from the Arizona Department of Housing. The purpose of that grant is to assist local jurisdictions' efforts in solving the workforce housing crisis. Through the grant, the City of Prescott hired Elliott D. Pollock and Company to conduct a housing needs assessment. Today's presentation will cover the findings of the housing need assessment. Rick Merritt, president of Pollock and Company, will now be presenting on that assessment.
Thanks, Mike. Mr. Mayor and Council, it's great to be here today. I'm going to give you a real quick overview of what we found in our study. We talk a lot about housing, and so workforce or missing middle housing is really what we're focusing on. It's to describe households that earn between 60 and 120% of the local median income. These households earn too much to really get state or federal assistance, but they can't really afford market rate housing. And there's a lot of critical personnel we're talking about, teachers, police, firefighters, and even retail workers, people that provide services, cut your hair, things like that. So it's a wide range of people that we're really focusing on. In looking at the Prescott area, one of the things that's very apparent, and we know, is that the average age is median age is about 60 years old. And what does that mean? It means that you have a low labor force participation rate. And this is when housing becomes an economic development issue for you. If you don't have enough people to provide services to the local population, that means people have to commute in long distances. The people that provide these services don't make a whole lot of income to begin with. So what you really end up with is an economy that doesn't work very well. And that's what we're trying to avoid here. You can see the participation rate for Arizona is about 60%, for the US is about 65%. So you're well below that, and we really want to emphasize that as an economic development issue. Household income, the median household income for Prescott is under $70,000. You can see it's a little bit higher for homeowners. For renters, it's less than $50,000. So that's what we're really focusing on is the renter income, the median income, things like that, and what those households can afford. In the housing market, we all know housing's up in price. Since 2019, single-family prices are up 63%, or $270,000. Even condo and townhome prices are up 71%, another $165,000. So housing has really outpriced inflation by quite a bit. Once again, just looking at it a little bit differently, 82% of all home sales are above $400,000. So this gets beyond what many people, particularly people looking at getting just first-time home buyers getting into the market, they have a tough time with this. So what can the median income, the typical household income buy in Prescott? It's about a $251,000 house or unit, and you don't have many of those to begin with today. We looked at apartments, and we think the apartment market is fairly tight. You can see how the vacancy rate has been in the 4% range for quite a while in the past. It jumped up when the pandemic in 2020 was here, but it's increased a little bit now to 6%. That's still a very, very tight market. So once again, rents will stay where they are, and really we're not expecting them to decline much. And here's just a sample of the incomes that are required to rent a unit in the city. You can see just a one-bedroom unit is about at what the typical household makes. If you want a two-bedroom unit, you're getting up above that. So it's very difficult for a lot of households to make these rental rates. You do have a lot of activity in the pipeline, what we call the pipeline. 437 units are under construction or very near to construction. 160 units are permitted. And almost 1,200 units, multifamily housing units, are planned. So there's a lot in the planning stages. We don't know, and particularly for the planned ones, how many will actually come to fruition, but it's a big number that we're looking at in the future. Excuse me, I got a couple ahead of myself here. So what is...
Excuse me, Mr. Merritt, but our Councilman Gambogi had a question.
Could you return to the previous slide? Earlier, you mentioned rents, I think, in the vicinity of $1,800 a month. Do you have an idea what the rents would be on these apartments when they finally get built?
We don't particularly, but because of land costs and construction costs, they're going to be up at the upper end of the market.
And what would be the upper end of the market?
It'd probably be, what we're seeing is probably $1,700 to $1,800 on average for a unit. So once again, looking at, I'm getting ahead of myself here, looking at housing affordability. The standard is that a household pays no more than 30% of their income on housing. So this is for renters. And you can see in Prescott, about 47% of all renter households pay more than 30% of their income on housing, and 28% spend more than 50%. And you can see it's a little bit higher than what you find in Yavapai County. It's, you know, for the most part, pretty equal to what we find across Arizona, but it is higher in Yavapai County. When we look at owner-occupied housing units, households with a mortgage, about a third of households with a mortgage also spend more than 30% of their units of their income on housing. So some pretty big numbers that we're talking about. Here's what affordability is for many of the workers in Yavapai County. And as you can see, up until about secondary school teachers, it's very difficult for them to afford the average rental unit or single family unit. You get into nurses and police officers, they can start to afford. But once again, most of the service population and service employees, such as waiters, waitresses, construction laborers, paramedics, even some school teachers, have a difficult time affording housing here. Jesus, it's very sticky. So what is our housing forecast? This comes from the Office of Economic Opportunity. The population of Prescott is expected to change by about 6,200 people over the next 15 years. That's a housing demand for about 3,200 units, or an average of about a couple hundred units a year that will come into the community or will be demanded by the community. Beyond that, there is more construction activity for your secondary home owners, but this is what is expected for the permanent population. What are we talking about in terms of facing the market today? And the demand for workforce households. It's always often called the missing middle housing. And this is the housing for people that don't live in a single family house and don't live in a high rise, which you don't find a whole lot around here, but something in the middle. Duplexes, fourplexes, courtyard buildings, townhomes, things, those types of units. And you do have a lot of those units that are in the community already. And you can find, in some instances, we've found them, that those units are sometimes in the $300,000 range, somewhat older probably, but there just aren't enough of them. And so the question is, how do you create these types of units that are affordable to workforce when you have all these things against you of interest rates, of high construction costs, high land costs? And that's really what we'll be looking at as we continue on with our study. This is just some of the ideas, and once again, these are already found in some parts of Prescott: cluster complexes, townhomes, duplexes and small lot single family developments, ADUs, manufactured homes, which are becoming much more aesthetically pleasing rather than a mobile home box. And then apartments, assisted living will all be parts of what we'll be looking at. The next steps are to translate the workforce housing policy, which your committee has done a great job on, into a formal strategy. We'll talk about modifying the city codes. We'll create a 3-year action plan, and we'll engage the community more. And we have already engaged the community. We've had a survey out to the population. We've gotten over 200 responses on that. We've interviewed across the board all kinds of businesses, people in the development business. We hear a lot of good things of how it's fairly easy to develop, at least through the building department and your planning department. But certainly water is an issue, those types of things that we'll be further looking at as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you may have some. And thank you again.
Thank you, Rick. Councilwoman Furworth?
Thank you, Mayor. I had a question because it came up a lot of discussion a couple weeks back at the League of Arizona Cities and Towns. There's a lot of communities that are very concerned about some of this missing middle is actually being tied up with Airbnbs and VRBOs. Is that something that you are considering as you move forward looking at it? Because I know there's an effort going on right now down at the legislature, which has been failing consistently, but I think more and more conservative cities and towns are now getting in the picture as well. So I just was wondering if that's been a topic of discussion.
That will certainly be something to look at to see if there's some way to restrict any kind of workforce housing that you approve, restrict it somehow so it can't be used for short-term rentals. We see this as a problem somewhat in Prescott. It's a huge problem in Sedona, and they're the ones that have really been pushing a lot of this on short-term rentals. But clearly it's something that you have to take a look at and make sure that when you create housing, it's for people that work here, that want to live here, things like that.
Mayor Pro Tem Ken Tomey.
Thank you. Rick, we're getting ready with the ADU, the passage of the ADU here. We have, a combination of older historic neighborhoods and then some of the newer planned area developments that are in the North Prescott area that would probably not be suitable for an ADU. But my question was, as you move forward with the ADUs, not only here, but in Maricopa County, in Phoenix, I would love to be able someday to see some actual data on the impact of ADUs, whether or not it's working. I know from working down in Phoenix for many, many years, ADUs, we used to call them guest houses,
Yep.
were prohibited. There were very strict rules, and I see that they're loosening that up. But I'm still not 100% sure that this is going to be, it's going to be one part of the answer possibly. But going forward, it'd be great to have some actual data on that if your company is willing to do it.
Yes, we'll take a look at that. I have heard, I haven't verified anything, but we hear that the ADU process in Phoenix has been very successful, and they have created a lot of new units. So we can follow up and find out about that, yes.
I read an article not too long ago in my mother's assisted living home, believe it or not, that the ADUs have had an impact on the senior living in terms of how expensive some of the assisted living facilities have become. And as far as the ADU permits pulled in 1 month in 2024, I believe it was, there was a statistic that 60% of them went to, grandma living in the area. So it'd be great to see a breakdown on that someday when they've been around a little longer.
Sure thing. We'll take a look.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? Do we have any public comment on this?
We do not, Mayor. It's presentation, so we don't do that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Rick. And I hope we can identify a really good solution that can be implemented within the next couple of years. I know we have quite a number of multifamily unit permits and planning that are in various stages of construction. I mean, you can just look out this window and look up on Prescott Heights. That development was being considered when I was on the Planning and Zoning Commission almost 10 years ago. So it's finally being constructed. So a lot of it has to do with access to commercial financing, being able to get construction permits, the number of construction capable contractors, And then if we can ever get the Fed to lower the interest rate, maybe we can increase the number of units available for purchase and rent. And with an increased supply, with a consistent demand, then we can probably see at least a flattening of some of these increasing costs for rentals. I know just a couple of years ago, if you wanted to try to find a rental apartment in the city, you probably would have had to get on the waiting list and sign a minimum of a 2-year lease. Now we're starting to see month-to-month availability on some of these rental units. So I think the supply and demand is starting to shift in a good direction for the community.
I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Move up to the next presentation. The presentation for Epic Rides regarding the 2025 Whiskey Off-Road.
Hi, Mayor and Council. How are you today? Yeah, thanks for having me. Do I get a clicker or do I give the... what do I- Okay. My name is Todd Sadow. I'm here to report on the 20th annual Whiskey Off-Road. This year celebrated 20 years of delivering unparalleled marketing and ROI for Prescott's outdoors brand. Understanding that, so the first 5 slides in here are slides that I referenced in the presentation a few months ago. So I'm going to move kind of briskly through them. Lois, if you have any questions, please let me know, because I know you were absent that day, and I'm glad to dive into anything that...
Watch the video, so I'm up to date.
Great, thank you. Key takeaway, 26-year-old business. I founded it 21 years into our commitment to your community, to operating in Prescott, and putting y'all front and center in the outdoors enthusiast sector, nationally and even globally. The Whiskey Off-Road is a combined mountain bike event, music festival, and industry expo. Since inception, it's been framed as a public-private partnership between the City of Prescott and Epic Rides. We set out to achieve something, and I think in many ways we've accomplished that, and we continue to accomplish it. So in a certain regard, we're 20 years into an unfaltering deliverable for your community from Epic Rides. That structure is very similar to things like the Super Bowl, the Olympics, the Albuquerque Balloon Fest, all receive funding from government entities to drive economies in their mission. As we crafted together and has been in our agreement, the purpose of the event is to the direct benefits align with the City of Prescott's strategic goals in economic development, quality of life, and community, and that it cultivates a vibrant, diverse, and dynamic economy that attracts and retains businesses and a skilled workforce, and promotes educational, cultural, and recreational opportunities that contribute to health and well-being for your community. So while we'll talk about economic impact and marketing value today, there's countless other ways that this event interacts with your community and together lifts up your community and makes them proud of it and is a draw for people to want to live here and stay here and work here and things of that sort. I think it's really, really, really important to point out that this was built as a win-win-win, and the biggest winner is the City of Prescott. You win through economic impact, you win through tax revenue to your specific operation, You win through expanding your tourism season, through receiving worldwide advertising, through entertainment for your community, something for them to look forward to each spring, for them to come together at, and so many more intangibles as well. So getting into the nuts and bolts of this year's event, we had 2,071 registered. That translated to 1,813 at the start line. There's always some no-shows, just like an airline flight. The people coming to your community, it's a bumper crop of people in what was otherwise a shoulder season in low tourism since we developed the event, previous to developing the event. Now your hotels are getting some of the best rates of the year that weekend. The audience, generally affluent, 33 to 55 years old, have careers, have families. The survey that we're referencing much of the data from in today's presentation, we sent it out to all of our participants, volunteers, sponsors, to the community. We got about 15% of the participants to respond, so a pretty sizable sample. Any questions so far? Okay. Attendee reach. So our database, we have 50,000 people in our newsletter database. Every 2 weeks we send a newsletter. It goes out to about 20,000 people. We have an over 50% open rate in high season, close to an event. We see upwards of 80+% open rates. We put our last 5 years on this map so you can see how national that reach and what it looks like when we speak to our audience. It's reasonable to think that the people that have ridden in our events in the last 5 years are the most engaged in our events right now. This year's Whiskey Off-Road, 16% were local, including Prescott Valley. 84% were not from here. One of the things that's important to point out here is that this is an event that draws money from outside the community, that gets left in your community, and then the people, after having a great experience, leave. There are other events in the world of events to recruit to your community that rely on people from outside your community coming here, selling things to your community, and then taking their money and leaving. So we have the desired effect, right? We bring the people with the money from outside, they leave it here, and then they go home. 38 states represented, 7 countries, just about 40% from outside of Arizona. Total estimated bike event visitors. So visitors, people that don't live here, that 84%. We estimate about almost 6,000 people, of which 5,600 stayed overnight. Average party size, 3.8. That's great. That's families, that's friend groups. 3.8, that's a party. 94% stayed at least one night. 14% stayed 4 nights or more. This event, we were proud of having 2 nights stayed in the beginning, but it's turned into a spring break for families and friends, so they come and they stay for the week. The pro athletes come here and they stay for multiple days because they want to pre-ride the course and get familiar with it because there's money on the line. And then you benefit from all that social media while they're here, talking about the restaurant they ate at, the trail they rode, all those things that go into their narrative of their life. It's all part of that bigger picture of value that you receive. Any questions so far? Okay. Visitor acquisition. So a couple of important points here. 53% of the visitors to the Whiskey Off-Road this year would not have come to Prescott at all. That's important. We're recruiting new people to make aware of your community, to give them an emotionally charged positive experience in your community so that when they go home to one of those 43 states or whatever it was, they tell their friends, Prescott's awesome. You gotta go check it out. It's a great outdoors town. 75% of the visitors said they would return for mountain biking, non-event mountain bike related visits this year. So those are return visit opportunities. 36% pre-rode the course. These are visitors, not people that live in Prescott. 36% came here before the event, checked out the trails, got familiar with them, because it increases their odds of success on ride day, and then went home. So it's an extra visit. Social media. So I want to preface these next couple of slides. This is marketing measurement. This is marketing value. So we estimated about $53,000 from our social media activities in marketing value that Prescott benefits from. This is super conservative. I would rather tell you a number that I know for sure than a number that you come back to me one day and say, it was way too high. We didn't measure the user-generated social media, which looks like it's about over 2,600 posts. Who knows how many potentially millions of user-generated impressions that relates to, or that turns into. We didn't value a lot of things because we don't know how to. Just to be perfectly honest, we would want to retain a marketing company that has the skill sets and subscriptions and everything else to do those things. And if that's ever a curiosity, we'd co-op it with you in a heartbeat. But for now, just off of standard values that you find online, we estimate our social media content to be worth about $53,000. And of course, all of that, one way or another, says Whiskey Off-Road, Whiskey Row, Prescott, Arizona, Prescott National Forest. It's all about the event experience, right?
Todd, Councilman Gambogi has a question.
Yeah.
Todd, this 52,920, I'm still having a struggle how you calculate that.
Sure, yeah. So $10 for every 1,000 views. We managed to pull about 1.1 million views together. So that turns into $11,420. 50 cents for every content interaction. So a thumb, a heart, a hey, wow, this looks cool, and tag their friend because they want to go, and oh, we'll go next year. That, all those things that happen in social media, that translates to about $10,000 in value.
And how do they calculate it? It comes out to $10,000.
These are standards in the industry.
So if I see something on Facebook, that counts as a 1.
You have a value. It's never free.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions about this one? Okay. So earned media, such an animal. Ted, I'll tell you what, Councilman Gambogi, I am no more excited about this than you are. Social media it's a very unruly environment. So earned media used to be as simple as a news source publishing an article and column inches, measure it, value it, move on. Oh, now it's not. It's so much more. We bring in content creators. Historically, we've co-opted some of that with you. We've typically overspent on whatever you were willing to offer. That's been shaved off going forward for the foreseeable future. This is VC Adventure. He has an audience of 150,000 followers. His Instagram post that he put up generated 125,000 views, 3,500 or more than 3,500 likes. He's due to put out 3 videos from this year's event that'll drop anytime in the next couple of months, probably. We expected him a week ago, but he's behind artists. So he has an audience of almost 300,000 people on his YouTube channel, right? Sid and Mackie came. They have 100,000 subscribers to the YouTube channel. They've, when this presentation was created, they were at almost 60,000 views on their content from here that features Prescott, that talks about Prescott, shows people an experience that they can have as a mountain biker in Prescott, right? So there's all these different ones. We had the travel channel here this year. I appreciate City Manager Kimball, commented when we estimated the values of these things, we all thought that was really low. It is. It's intentionally really low. $25,000 for this content that went out. That's what it would cost you if you can convince them to come here. Wade Holland, you're going to pay them way more than we do. VC Adventure, same thing. Like, we have relationships with these people. They're our world, right? They come to our other events. If you can get them here, you're going to spend more than $25,000 for this content to go out. Travel Channel, we couldn't get any of their numbers. They wouldn't share them with us. So we don't really know what that was worth. And I'm not going to estimate the marketing value. The marketing value is way bigger than $25,000. It's what you would have spent. And that's a low number to get that kind of content that includes your community out there in these channels. So there's a lot here, to my original point, in marketing value that is not valued. This is just a number I can say with great confidence. We know we did that. Way more than that, probably. Direct impact, event week, that weekend should say the 2025 estimated event week direct spend, because people are here more than 2 nights, right? We know that. We're measuring a direct impact, and we're estimating, $3.5 million in that week into your businesses. And that translates to an estimated $127,000 to the city in taxable dollars. And that generated $65,000 for local nonprofits. And a tremendous amount of smiles. Additional visits, we talked about people coming in early to pre-ride the course, coming back later. That amounts to about $430,000. All that together, what's the Whiskey Off-Road worth to the community? We're going to estimate about $4 million, and that's where those numbers come from. So when we talk about what's the return for the community, or what's this worth in funding, because I know that's a hot button for everybody right now, I hope you'll consider that it's not just economic impact, but it's marketing value. And it's marketing that if you were going to do it, how would you do it? How much would that cost? When I think about that, it makes us sound like a deal. Event feedback, bottom right, 93% of attendees would be glad to recommend the Whiskey Off-Road. 95% of attendees rated the Whiskey Off-Road better than other outdoor cycling events. So we get an A from our audience on both of those measurements. So this is another aspect of this relationship that I want to emphasize, and I'm almost done, and then we can get into some questions if you have them. Trails experience. So 99% of the riders liked the course, right? 70% thought it was a nice mix of single track and double track. 29% challenging but fun. 1% too challenging. But this other thing is for your trails, Prescott's trails. So we encourage them, we give them communications as part of their experience that say, hey, go ride these other trails while you're in Prescott. Check out the Dells. Go ride parts of the Circle Trail. We inform them of all of your assets. We're a marketing vehicle for more than just Ride Day. You guys have invested so much in your trail network, in your infrastructure, and you continue to, and you're very proud of it. You've got banners all over downtown that talk about how many miles of single track you have, right? This is something that is obviously an investment for you. Well, we're a beachhead for that investment. We bring in thousands of people every year and show them your trails, give them experiences, get them familiar with your community so they can come back and ride all the other trails too. And you can continue to get repeat value out of these people and their word of mouth. I don't know how else to do that for the amount you spend with us. So this is a report card on your trails experience, and you get good grades. Identifying alternative trails, navigating the trails. How's the signage on the trails? It's really good, evidently. The quality of the trails, best ratings of all of it. But we can be a vehicle to keep tabs on this for you. Otherwise, how are you going to sit and talk with everybody that comes into town for not an event when you don't have their email address and you don't have their phone number and you don't know their social media handle? So we can be a vehicle for that too, and I want you to look at us that way. We're an asset. We're an ally. Thank you. Thank you very, very much for 20 amazing years.
Councilwoman Furworth.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm a kid that always strived for A's and B's. I don't like C's. So your previous slide, when people are giving us like it was okay, the little middle face. Do you get quotes or any input from people? Is there a place for them to say, oh, the Dells Trail didn't have the right signage, or I got lost here? Like, can we learn from this experience in any way
100%.
for our staff?
This is a survey that we put out every year after the event, and we're in this together. I'll add questions for you. We'll sub out questions from year to year if you want to focus on different areas.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Todd, I wanted to thank you for the event, first of all. And I want to make sure that you understand, I've heard a lot of grumblings in the community that we actually think your event's great. And I want to thank you for working with the city as we move through this process and helping us get hiring the firm that we decided to hire so that we can, in unison, go down this path of trying to figure out some of these numbers. It's a new world today. The data is, learned differently than we've done it in the past. I think we want to do the right thing for all of the events that come here and the future events that aren't here. And we're working on some kind of a policy to get that to happen. So thanks for walking along with us. And I can't wait to see the results of the impact study. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. I know you've been dealing with this event here and growing it over many, many years. And it's become almost internationally renowned. So being able to support it and continue its excellent reputation, along with the city's ability to provide some adequate support for you as you continue to expand it. Do you have any particular future plans on how you're going to expand marketing? I mean, you've got so many different media approaches and measuring that it's hard to even fathom how best to utilize those different things to make the event even more successful. But I have a feeling you probably have a few ideas.
We've prided ourselves on keeping our marketing contemporary, and in doing so, keeping Prescott's marketing in these channels contemporary too. Where we go from here will depend a lot on where we go from here. So I look forward to getting that economic impact analysis back too, and understanding how you guys want to size up the event, because that determines what I have to work with.
Very good. Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment on this? I don't think we do.
No.
Yeah. Thank you, Todd. All right, I think we move on to our open call to the public.
We do, Mayor. The City of Prescott welcomes public engagement. Residents may comment and address the council regarding matters that are not included on the posted agenda during the call to the public. If you wish to speak, please complete a green speaker card and submit it to me prior to the meeting being convened. As a reminder, speakers are limited to 4 minutes, and the call to the public will be limited to 40 minutes in total, with the following stipulation. Citizens will be limited to addressing the council on the same topic only 4 times in total. If a topic has been addressed more than 5 times by different speakers, the mayor may limit future discussion on the topic, and topics of a primarily national concern may be limited at the discretion of the mayor. I do have a couple of public comment cards today. The first is from Carter Labarge.
My name is Carter Labarge, and I spent most of my life in heavy industrial construction, and I was boots on the ground. In 2 major mega projects, they were totaled almost $10 billion. And in those projects, there were millions and millions of dollars worth of infrastructure that we executed. So I was a part of the machine that is giving you guidance on all these issues that you're trying to move forward. So I think I've got a little bit of an interest in, I know some of the background from the different entities that are giving you guys guidance. Mr. Mayor, I want you to know that I personally, along with the majority of the voters in this town, have stood by you, just as you stood by us. When you and this council took office, you stopped the free-for-all of developers lining up to make a fast buck on the back of the city and its residents. You brought back thoughtful development and order to this town, and we appreciate your work on our behalf. In the August 26th council meeting, this council listened to voter after voter identify major discrepancies in the engineering plan and the methodology that was employed to bring to this body what any thoughtful individual can only conclude was a predetermined result to push this project forward. The cry is safety, 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 and the city is obligated to act on behalf of safety. In reality, the guidance from all the departments and the agencies base their projections on a single premise: expansion. And we must expand to ensure safety. That is the rationale for why we must take action. So expansion to 5 lanes is not going to impact the single car accidents that are most probably caused by the lack of attention of any number of reasons. Your engineering states that adding these lanes will make it safer. And if that is true, then why is it also suggested that we must also add 2, not 1, but 2 additional roundabouts for traffic calming? You got to slow them down after you give them an opportunity to speed up. I ask all of you to speak those words to yourself and then ask yourself in your own mind if actions on behalf of safety that you're planning really make sense. After listening to the voters, this council did add time to the comment period and improved access to the site and extended the time for the council to review the comments. But the most important thing I took away from that meeting was your final comment, Mr. Mayor, and I paraphrase your statement as I don't remember it exactly. You said, all you know is that we need to have the 5 lanes. And that was the final comment on that subject. Well, that told me that after listening to 3 years of voters say, no, don't do it, your decision's made. With all the incredible obstacles that you and this council have overcome and achieved in this term of office, none of it's going to mean anything if you move forward and approve this expansion. You and every member of this council will be remembered for only one thing: that you're the ones that destroyed the Narrows unnecessarily and that you did it without sound data to back it up. The voters are requesting that you replace the wastewater and effluent pipelines on an expedited schedule. We all know that this needs to happen. Please do the upgrade while you've got the trenches dug to the existing roadbed, but leave the Narrows as it is. Thank you very much.
I believe it's Lewis Rowe. Truly Bracken.
I'm here today to express some appreciation. And we know that we've all had struggles using mobile devices with the State Road 89 Improvements website. But we really had an extraordinary effort from Carrie Obenheim, and Tim sat in with her as well, sat down with Bonnie McMahon and me, and walked us through how we could better access the website. Each of us can't do that. Members of the public can't get the staff to tie up their time to walk us through it, but they came up with another solution. The proposal is that by this coming Friday, we hope, there's no guarantee of that, but we hope by this coming Friday there will be instructions for mobile users that will appear on the website that will walk us through the workarounds and the shortcuts that Carrie was able to present to us. We're grateful for that. It is rather late in the process, but we're grateful that ongoing effort by the staff is still there for us. We hope it's going to make the site more accessible for many people and that it will increase the number of comments that you have to consider. Thank you again.
Joanne Ohlers.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I would like to address by asking a couple of questions about State Route 89. And thank you for the opportunity to speak. My first question is about the phasing process for the project. The design phasing for SR 89 is apparently skipping from a 15% design concept to 100% complete final design, according to something I saw in one of the updates from the city, generated from, I think, the website. And what I see is in Section 4 of Resolution 2024-1876, it says that the project will comply with the City of Prescott Capital Improvement Plan, which states, as the plans are developed, they go through phases of completion that are known as 15%, which is conceptual, 30% preliminary design, 60% design development, 90% plans for pre-final design, and then 100% plans completed final design. And if we look at the final request for statement of qualifications, these are outlined also. Can we please have an explanation for this jump? And could the public please be informed for the reason of this happening and how we could expect that to take place in this limited time frame? Thank you for that. Also, I was planning to speak a bit on the citizen outreach from the Beta PR organization, and truly did speak to that a bit. I'm a little bit at a loss because I had a list of the actions that Beta PR was to perform with this project, but I couldn't find the contract. I thought I could find the contract just before I came to the meeting, and I searched the website and I couldn't find it there. So I'm just going to say that I've read that Beta PR was responsible for a newsletter and some educational videos, and I just haven't seen that. So my second question is Beta PR being held to be responsible and accountable for the services that they or that Kimley Horn projected that they would do? So that's all I have today. Thank you.
Deborah Lindsay.
Hello, esteemed leaders of our community. I've been a rancher here for the last 14 years, and my ranch is right by the Dells. And you heard about how important the Dells are. So I'm just a little concerned. Actually, I'm hugely concerned about widening the Dells. And I happen to know someone who made a suggestion I thought you guys might want to consider. So what if instead of destroying more of the Dells to widen it, you made a lower and an upper way through the Dells? There's only 2 places on the entire globe that have dells like this, here and in China, exact opposites of where we are. So for posterity, to keep making them smaller is not a blessing to us, to the bikers, to anybody really. But they could always dismantle the top one, like in 100 years, take the top one down, and maybe they don't need roads anymore, but they're always going to want the dells. Maybe they'll be flying. You don't know. So to put that as a consideration, and I know the wheels are turning and things are progressing and it's getting closer and closer, but wisdom might dictate not to proceed by a widening, but to have a double layer of transportation. It's been done many places. That's all. Thank you for your time.
David Bothney.
All right. I also live on the Dells, and I've hiked on those the granite dells, I guess you could call them, for 14 years now. I live on that same ranch, and the aerial view is breathtaking. And just to expound on what she was saying, it would be a little bit weird, but if you took on that first roundabout where the Phippen Museum is and you created just a little bit more area on the sides, you could create possibly, I mean, it's up to you guys obviously, but an on-ramp to the second layer, or kind of like a bridge that would create a top-down view. That I can almost guarantee, because like she was saying, the only other place those dells exist is in China, and it's like, that's pretty special. Where on the upper layer, it would be an attraction that you could have where people could see the beauty kind of from a higher elevation, and it would alleviate kind of the traffic issue. You could have like a bicycle lane too, maybe, where people could reach some of the other areas, because there's some fun places to ride deeper in. Just a thought. So thanks for your time.
That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. We will move on to the consent agenda. Does anybody on the council wish to pull any item off of the consent agenda?
Mayor, I do.
Which items?
I would like to pull items E, F, and G.
Anyone else? Nope. Then I'll entertain a motion for the remaining item.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve consent agenda items 9A through 9K, excluding E, F, and G.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 5-0.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Mayor, I'd like to ask Rick Kreider. Come on up and speak. First of all, on item E, this is basically a thank you to you, Rick, for working so diligently to take care of Eagle Air. And I wanted to commend you on your communication skills between everybody. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Ben.
Items F and G, as you'll speak about, I'm pretty excited about both of those, obviously the grant and also G. And I wanted the public to know the firefighting aspect of the item G. Thank you. If you could give us a little presentation, that'd be great.
Yes, ma'am. Well, first of all, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, and thank you again for the kind words earlier about the air service. We're very excited about that. The first item E, is council approval for a new lease. And as you said, this is a little background. We had a settlement that was approved by council on June 24th at the voting session. Settlement with a landlord that had developed the hangar, so we were able to acquire that and immediately went out for an RFP, request for proposals, to put a tenant in there. We had a minimum response of $3,435 a month, and the bids came, we only had one proposal. It came in at $4,580 per month, or $54,000 per year. So about a 33% increase over our expectations. And that was based on the appraisals we had done on the property initially. So some good news there, but the other nuance, as you said, was it also accommodates a longstanding provider of services here, a company that's been in place for several decades. And so we're able to preserve that business, move them to a new location, and give them some confidence in the future. So for all those reasons, we recommend approval of the lease. Again, we only had one response, but it's a very good response and a lot of happiness in there. So thank you for the consideration.
Well, thank you, Rick. I know that you've been working diligently to try to bring up some of the market rates for those leases, which are very important for our grant assurances when we're applying for grants through the FAA.
Yes, sir.
So this is, I think, a good example of one that's moving to where it needs to be.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be able to enjoy a good market rate for this particular lease for a number of years to come in the future.
Absolutely.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve that item.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve item number 9E.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Please vote on item 9E.
Passes 5-0.
Okay, we'll move on to item 9.
Yes, sir. The next item, item F, is the acceptance of two intergovernmental agreements with the state of Arizona. The first one is for phase one of what we could refer to as the Northeast Ramp. But Mayor Pro Tem, you were, I think, part of the delegation that came. And the good news in all this is with the support of the city manager and the lobbyists that we've hired, told a great story. And the great story is that we have a fire base here that is a jewel for the community, but it's also a jewel for the region and provides great services. The reality is that they lease a very nice piece of ground from the airport, from the city on a year-round basis. But during fire season, they have additional assets that come in: rotary craft aircraft, additional ground support personnel, vehicles, large aircraft, and they need some flex space. They're not able to sustain that or justify that on a year-round basis, but the flex space is really important to their mission for the region. So the legislation, or the delegation and the legislature, at the end of the day, was very generous in awarding two IGAs, one for $3.5 million to develop phase one of that. I'll call it a flex ramp. It has certainly utility for the firefighters and the firefighting aircraft. It also has utility for military aircraft that come through. So Qatar Aviation, sometimes that strips the capacity of their ramp, they could use it for supporting that kind of flexible need coming through. But also some permanent facilities on the north side. We feel like commercial development, main square overhaul, maybe some innovation space. Some other cargo, has utility beyond just the firefighting. So excited about this $3.5 million IGA. It is a 100% grant, if you will. It's not really a grant, it's a warrant to the city. We'll develop phase one of the project, report back to the legislature, and hopefully do a great job that will stimulate them to fund phase two of the project. The second IGA that I'd like to present is the $500,000 for operations and maintenance of the airport. We've got some great maintenance projects we feel like will be outstanding candidates for the use of this IGA that will also free up some funding that we can use for other exciting projects that will, again, promote the airport in the future and set it up for success for generations to come. So happy to answer any further questions, Mayor, but those are the two IGA that we're very proud to present, and thank again the team effort that it took to get them across the finish line.
And Mayor and Council, I just wanted to clarify that Rick's talking about item G, 9G. Not item F. Yeah. So make sure when we vote on that, it's correct. We'll go back to F, I guess, after we do G.
I was going to make that comment, but thank you, Cynthia.
My apologies. I get ahead of myself.
Well, and I want to acknowledge the fact that our state senator, Mark Fincham, was instrumental in getting these the support from the state for the $3.5 million and the $500,000 for extra maintenance and operations support.
Sure.
So that's a significant amount of contribution from the state.
Absolutely.
And I know that Senator Fincham was diligent in working with the very challenging budget this year and getting those allocations made. So I'll thank Senator Fincham for that, and then thank you for working with him to get these allocations made.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions from the council? And I'll entertain a motion on item 9G.
Mayor, since Rick did actually speak about the grant, should we do items F and G? Approve them?
I think we should probably vote on 9G first, and then we'll go back
Okay.
and consider 9F.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve item 9F.
I second.
No, you're.
Oh, I'm 9G. Sorry, they're all running. We had a little, just so you know, technically we had a little change of plans and we were distributed one agenda and then it changed. And so some of us have
All
the old
letters are
one.
messed up.
And some of us, exactly. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to make a motion that we approve 9G.
And I second 9G.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Please vote on 9G.
Passes 5-0.
Now 9F.
Okay, I make a motion to
I
pass.
think Rick needs to comment on it.
He already did, though. Didn't you?
It's a little bit, I got them out of order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yes, ma'am.
okay, so he did. Okay.
He did?
He did. Yes, that was first, actually. So we got him out of order. That's okay. We're going to go forward. So we're going to make a motion to pass item 9F.
And I'll second 9F.
Well, I do want to emphasize that being able to realign text AF allowed us to do this significant project with the city only having to contribute $10,241.
Yes, sir.
To get a total project cost of almost $410,000. So I like those kinds of contributions, and I'd like to make sure that we keep that up.
Yes, sir. My apologies for I'm better at airports than I am stapling my notes together. So.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for 9F. Please vote.
Passes 5-0.
All right, that completes our consent agenda. Now we'll move on to the regular agenda item 10A.
Discussion and consideration regarding possible adoption of resolution number 2025-1944, approving updates to the council rules of procedure. We don't have a formal presentation for the council on this item. As you'll note from the agenda packet and the memo and attachments, these additions were to help clarify expectations of behavior and decorum for members of the public during council meetings, as well as to lay out expectations for providing materials to the council and how public comment time can be used following council discussion and staff presentation on these items. Council rules of procedure are approved via adoption of resolution, so that's why there's a resolution associated with this, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the council might have.
Well, I know you don't have a formal presentation, but I think it would be appropriate for transparency that we at least read the redlined items that are going to be utilized to modify our rules of procedure.
I can do that. So Rule 13 in the council rules of procedure addresses conduct of the public at city council meetings. Item C, no member of the public shall be allowed to speak more than once on a subject, and remarks shall be limited to 3 minutes unless allowed by the mayor. This is an addition. Groups wishing to address the council, it was a clarification of the language, shall identify a representative speaker to present the group in one presentation on behalf of the group. Item D is an addition. Members of the public desiring to address the council during any agendized items public comment period must complete and submit to the city clerk a blue comment card indicating their name, city of residence, and item on which they wish to speak for the record. Speakers will be called in the order the cards are received, and remarks shall be limited to the question under discussion and shall be directed to the council as a whole. Item E is an addition. Use of the projection system is reserved for staff and is not available to members of the public during public comment. However, if a member of the public wishes to provide materials to the council, they may do so via email by 9 a.m. the day of the meeting, or by providing 10 copies, 7 for the council and the remaining for the city clerk, city attorney, and city manager, to the city clerk at the beginning of the meeting. Sections F, G, and H were already in rules of procedure. There are no changes there. Section I, in order is in addition. To maintain civility and respect for all points of view, there will be no clapping, booing, or any other verbal form of support or non-support in chambers. Continued unauthorized remarks or actions from the audience will be grounds for removal. Section J is in addition. General conduct expected from the public is as follows. Be courteous, honest and respectful, focus on the city's vision and goals, come prepared with comments, and avoid conversation and disruptions when sitting in the audience. And these are all included in the presentation that my office gives during the Citizens Academy on a quarterly basis. And it's also included in our general policies and procedures, but was not codified within the rules of procedure for the council.
Yeah, I think these are all appropriate. We've had a number of people come to council and want to make a very long presentation. So they'll submit 3 or 4 comment cards and then ask if their 3 minutes could be added to somebody else's 3 minutes. So I think that really is not in the expectations of how public comment can be made on agendized items. So at this point, it's very clear with this change that if a group wants to make a point on an agendized item, they just have to select a representative to present their concerns, and they get 3 minutes to do that. So do your homework, be prepared, talk directly to council, and don't be making side comments that end up eating up your time. So 3 minutes may seem like a long time, but when you're up here, boy, it goes fast. So we just want people to be prepared and make good points and deliver them in a good way. And we've also had people that wanted to utilize the screens here for their own presentation, and that's just not really practical, possible, or we're really not able to accommodate those kinds of requests. And I know I've made a number of comments during council meetings where people want to applaud and whistle and or boo somebody if they don't agree with them, and that's just not appropriate. I think every person has a right to be able to make their statements without the rest of the audience weighing in on whether they agree or don't. So I think everybody's entitled to their opinion, and when they give their opinion, let's respectfully accept that. And it's nice to be courteous and honest and respectful. Councilman Moore?
Yeah, you mentioned the 3 minute thing. Sarah, when you read item D, it didn't mention 3 minutes, did it? Item D? I was just wondering if that should be included in that paragraph.
It does say that. It says that in section C.
Section C.
Yeah, right above
Okay.
it. It does call out the 3 minutes specifically. And then there's an entirely different section, which is already included in the rules of procedure as well, that addresses the open call to the public, which again has a different time limit and all of that. But it does say 3 minutes within section C.
And the Mayor, I have a question. It's not infrequent that sometimes somebody in the audience fills out a comment card and they come up and they read a statement for somebody else that isn't present. Is that something we're going to continue to allow? Or should that person who wants to have their 3 minute comment be present instead of having, then they fill out their own comment card, then they get up and we've seen that several times. I don't know if we want to address that or change that people who want to do a 3 minute comment card should be present instead of having somebody else read their comments for them.
Well, that's have to be something that have to be debated. But if there was a particular individual that was prepared to make a statement and for some reason they weren't able to make that statement directly, but then have an agent or representative make the statement for them, as long as it's an individual statement and meets the 3 minute time limit, I'm okay with that.
Okay. And then the last thing I want to make a comment on, and it's for us, is I think I take this back to my parenting days with young children. Say what you mean and mean what you say. You know, there's been a lot of times when we've threatened you need to behave, you need to, no booing, no clapping, and then they continue to do it, and they continue to do it, and nothing ever happens. There's no consequence. And so I think if we're going to update our council policy for decorum, then we need to follow through. That's all I'm saying. It's kind of like if we say it, then we need to mean it, and we need to follow through, because we haven't. In the 4 years I've been on council, not one person has been removed, and we've had some pretty rude people in the last 4 years.
Well, I came very close to asking somebody to be removed. But usually after an admonition, they have a tendency to kind of calm down.
Yeah. It's just an ongoing problem, I think, with some people, that they just don't respect the request that you make over the dais to...
Well, I did break one gavel. Okay, well, thank you for your comment. Councilwoman Furworth?
Thank you, Mayor. I had a question going back to the change authorized in as written in item C. When you have a group, and we've had some of them, I think about the cell phone towers and a few other things where there's some pretty complicated points of view, and a group would like to present them cohesively. If the group wishes to address the council, must identify a representative and speak in one presentation, and now do it in only 3 minutes, I don't think we're going to get a lot of takers on that. And so I think what you're going to want or see from groups is they're going to want to say, if I have a 10-minute presentation, you fill out a comment card, you fill out a comment, you and you. 4 people fill out comment cards, and we would like them called as number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So over the course of 4 speakers, they deliver their presentation on behalf of the group. So I'm just not sure. My first question, as I said, was groups wishing to address the council should identify a speaker to present. And I said, so what's the time allowed for a group? You answered that when you were talking earlier, that it would be 3 minutes. I don't see that many people are going to take us up on that. So it's just from the 2 years I've been sitting here. Groups tend to have more points.
I'm happy to adjust that to whatever time the council sees fit. So that's up to all of you.
Well, I think as long as they're making a separate statement on a separate part of a concern, then that's not an overlapping part or an ongoing presentation, and that probably is acceptable. Otherwise, I think they should come to the council and say, we would like to make a presentation to the council and have a presentation scheduled for the council to consider.
Which they have the option for. So we do have the council presentation requests forms. That follows a similar process to our proclamation requests. Anybody can submit a request to my office to make a presentation to the council. That request goes to the mayor for approval. If the mayor does not approve, then we send that out to the balance of council. And just like with anything else, 2 members of the council can approve to put that on an agenda. Those are limited to the 5 to 10 minute presentations that we have at the start of the voting meetings, like we received today from Epic Rides and the Housing Needs Assessment. And then there's also the opportunity in a similar fashion to, I'm thinking, for example, the Cathedral Pines, where 2 members of the council requested that it be a broader discussion, and that was brought forth at a study session. So there is the opportunity for that. It's just different than regular public comment.
And I'm talking about when groups want to talk to a certain topic, not open public comment. How do they do that?
Has to be an agendized item. Otherwise, it's just a call to the public.
So when we're voting on I'm going to go back to the cell phone tower and a community group, I'm just going to pick on that example because they had about 20 minutes worth of things to talk about. And so they ended up having multiple speakers lined up in a sequence to deliver the whole message from start to bottom. So each of them had their 3 minutes. Are we allowed or allowing that to do that where in item C? Because a group in 3 minutes is difficult to do.
Well, I think they still have the right to make their own public comment as long as it's not repetitive or generally, when we have those, they are making different points about the issue on the agenda.
So they should just, I'm sorry, so they should just fill out multiple comment cards, each of them get 3 minutes, and deliver it in a sequence that Sarah can support.
Yeah, my primary concern was having 3 or 4 people say, I want to make my 3-minute comment, and then giving it to a spokesperson to make maybe a 20-minute presentation. So that's a little different than individuals making their own comments or concerns about an agendized item. It's kind of a very similar. Well, we want to be able to have a balance between transparency, being able to have public comment being made without trying to exploit it to have an ongoing long-term discussion that really ought to be more appropriate for a group to say, we'd like to make a presentation to the council. Any other comments or concerns? Councilwoman Furworth?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. So I'm sorry, but I just kind of mentally thought of this morning. We had talked at a previous meeting at one point that there was some materials included in a council agenda item that were kind of inappropriate and unrelated to the request at hand. And so we talked about maybe addressing it as part of this update. And it just dawned on me this morning that I didn't see it included in this update. So could you bank it, and next time we have to do an update,
I can, and I'm
include
sorry,
that?
I did drop the ball.
No worries,
so.
no worries at all. So good, thank you.
I'll move it to the next. Yep.
Okay, so you can look forward to a future meeting for more refining of our rules of procedure. But considering what we are considering today, I'm willing to entertain a motion on this.
We do have public comment. Councilman
Do we have
Gambogi,
public comment?
sorry, we do have public comment before
Well,
you take a motion
that's
on that.
extremely appropriate.
Kathy Rusing.
Thank you very much. I think what we're leaving out here when we're talking about our code of conduct of the public, we need to make sure we don't erode upon the public's First Amendment rights and their free speech rights. And there's some elements in here that concern me that maybe we are doing that. And I agree we need a balance. You know, if we're going to have a productive meeting, I agree with the decorum and good conduct. But according to my research, I think that people should be allowed to have some polite clapping because that's considered free speech. And it's good feedback to the elected officials as to what the people out here think. Because you got to remember, this is we, the people. I have a problem with Section E under use of the projection system. After the staff is done with their presentations, the screen goes up to this beautiful picture of the Dells. And when I was a member of the public, before I was the mayor-elect, I was commenting on our general plan, which is a land use planning document. And I asked to have the map put back up so we could have an intelligent conversation because there were several aspects of the map that I wanted to point out. And I was told no, that I couldn't do it because I was just a member of the public. And that was supposed to be addressed in this. We had talked about that with Sarah, and I don't see that here. So I would like to amend E. Also, the public may request that the screensaver be removed and the PowerPoint presentation may be shown for discussion. If it's a map or certain pages, so that sometimes there's complex issues, and it would be helpful if the public could review certain aspects of the PowerPoint and not try to talk about a map that's not up and we're looking at a picture of the Dells. So I would just like to make those points. We have to make sure we're not eroding people's free speech, and we need to make a few changes that would help with our public input, transparency, and trust. Thank you.
Well, I don't think that the change that we're proposing here keeps members of the public from being able to reference part of a presentation that's made on an agendized item. So if there's a map included in an agendized item presentation, they should be able to reference it and ask that it be redisplayed while they're making their comments. I think what we've had said here is that if a member of the public comes and says, I have some video that I'd like to utilize your screen for, that's where we're eliminating that option. City Manager, do you agree with that?
I'll just say that's how I read it.
Yeah. And I think that's what the intention is there. So, and of course, free speech is not completely unrestricted, just like you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. So we have the right to be able to create rules of procedure that allows the city council to conduct council meetings in a regulated and appropriate designed manner. And of course, as the future mayor, you can always propose your own changes to the rules of procedure. Any other comments or concerns? Councilwoman Furworth.
Oh, thank you. I do think if I didn't have knowledge of the discussion we just had about presentation materials are allowed to be called up by the public to reference a slide or two, I would read E and I would say, no, you can't ask for something to be used on the projection system. And so I think it's important for purposes of documentation that we do say, another sentence to E that the public is allowed to ask for previous presentation or that item's presentation materials to be recalled for purposes of a discussion. I do think it's worth putting that sentence in and amending this.
I can certainly add that in. I did, while Mr. Singh was speaking, I did kind of put together something. So I could simply add at the end of that, staff presentations can be returned to the projector screens upon the request of the public speaker commenter.
Okay, I think that would clarify it, wouldn't it? Yep. Okay. All right, then we can motion to approve this item with that minor wording amendment.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt resolution number 2025-1933 with the amendment proposed by Lois Fruworth.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
It's 1944, not Ted said 33.
It's okay. I got it.
All right,
Thank
cool.
you. Passes 5-0.
Very good. Now we have item 10C.
Presentation and public hearing regarding the CDBG Program Year 2024 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report.
Right. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. Michael McGinnis with the Community Development Department. I'm your CDBG coordinator here with the city. And what we're looking at today is the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report called the CAPER. And that is HUD report, and this is a HUD document. And really what it is, I came to council at the end of June with the consolidated plan and the annual action plan. That's the plan of, setting our goals and strategies for our CDBG program. And this is the end of year report. So I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. Again, it's required by HUD, and we're looking only at the last program year, which goes from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. It shows the HUD, what progress we are making, and it also allows staff to really, and the Citizens Advisory Committee to really see how everything's going. It gives the citizens an opportunity to look at this plan. It was available for 15 days to the public for public comment, and today that public comment period is closing with a motion to close the public hearing. There's no approval for the CAPER. It is simply a closing of a public hearing according to HUD. And once it's closed, then I submit it to HUD by September 28th. So this slide is the accomplishments for this past year. And all our accomplishments with our community development block grant funding went towards public service category. So you'll see some of the numbers of Prescott residents which we helped. And with your permission, Mr. Mayor, I have People Who Care here. Barry DeKemper would like to come up and just say a few words about People Who Care. Barry?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Barry DeKemper, People Care Development Director, sorry. Thanks, Michael. Since 1992, People Who Care has been providing escorted transportation and non-medical services at no cost to adults in Prescott because they can't drive due to age, disability, vision loss, that sort of thing. As a nonprofit, of course, we rely entirely on grants and donations to pay for our services, which is why the CDBG funding is so important to us. And I'd like to tell you really quickly what that means for the neighbors. We call our clients our neighbors that we serve. 95% of them, first off, are 60 or older, which probably doesn't surprise you. But the typical neighbor is an 80-year-old woman. She lives alone. She doesn't have any local family support, and of course she can't drive. So she depends on your funding to help her to continue living independently and safely in her home. And we do that by taking her to healthcare appointments. Most older folks have a lot of those. Learn to use local or personal computers to access services. We take them grocery shopping, pick up prescriptions, help them with paperwork. We even do minor home safety assessments and repairs, like install grab bars and showers and look for trip hazards and things like that. And we really know that those services that you funded have helped those folks live a lot happier and a lot safer than they would have without that money. So we really appreciate that. And if I could just take about 20 more seconds, Marianne Settle's already left, but I told her I was going to mention her because for her leadership on the Citizens Advisory Committee, she did a great job in the time that I've been around. And finally, it's been a joy working with Michael over the last couple of years. He's been big things, much more efficient. And final word is our neighbors appreciate what you guys have done for them, and we appreciate what you've done to help us maintain those services. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barry.
See you.
Last point on this slide is the last bullet point. U.S. Vets Homeless Outreach Program through CDBG, CV, Prescott Cares. That was COVID money that we had all the way back, I think, 4 years ago. We were able to reallocate that and help out the Homeless Vets Program, $117,925. We're doing meals and emergency shelter. And here's some of the pictures that I got from U.S. Vets to share with the council, what that CDBG funding is going to. Just a couple more slides. This one, update on our infrastructure projects. There wasn't any big infrastructure projects completed in program year 2024. It looks like 2025 is going to be a big one, though. So the next time I come back to council, this time next year, it will be hopefully with 3 to 4 infrastructure projects completed. And again, with your permission, Mr. Mayor, I have an update from the Prescott Chamber of Commerce Foundation, Sherry Heine, administrator for not only our minor home repair program, but also our Prescott Cares program.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members, staff, and Michael, thank you. First of all, the Prescott Chamber of Commerce Foundation was established in 2005, and you will find this interesting, as I did, that it was established to to accept money to do the first housing study. And I still have that study, and you could honestly take 2005 off and put 2025, and it's still relevant because we're still talking about the same things we are now. So just to give a little perspective. But part of the foundation's goals is to help serve the community. So these 2 projects, the Prescott Cares program and the minor home repair program, both fit into that very nicely, which is why we applied for that. And just to give you an update in regards to the Prescott Cares program, this is also from the COVID dollars. We were able to really help a lot of residents and businesses back in 2021. There was some dollars left over. We worked with HUD, we worked together, and a lot of things changed after the pandemic was over, and it really started to create a rental assistance just devastation. So we were able to repurpose these funds. And I will say the U.S. vets, $117,000 also was part of that passed through our foundation and we helped administer. But where we stand with the Prescott Cares program currently with the restructure through HUD and all of you is an opportunity for us to assist those that are in the very lowest of funding annually. And so we are looking for funding and impact with this program. We have around $100,000 remaining funds dedicated to helping residents with rental assistance. You may recall there was a group of folks here a month ago maybe, and they shared some very sad stories. I know the city manager and I met with them outside the room. I'm happy to say that those folks that you saw standing, we are assisting for 6 months of their rent because they did qualify. And so that's just amazing. We have enough funding to assist 12 residents up to 6 months. And we currently have 3 approved and now 8 that we are working on approving right now. We're going through that process. From a community engagement point of view, in addition to the direct rental, and I should say utility support as well, we also put on 2 public events in collaboration with NACOG's aging department. And the reason for that was because we recognize that although we're putting a Band-Aid on this for 6 months, there are some needs that some of our residents had that we really wanted to bring in that long-term piece. And so we had very successful meetings and a lot of connection with that. And the community benefit for this program provides critical short-term relief while residents are working on long-term solutions, which include NACOG and other areas as well. So that is the Prescott Cares program piece, and I'll pause for just a moment to see if there's any questions on that. Thank you. I'll roll into the minor home repair program, which... Pardon me?
Sherry, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Real quick, I wanted to make sure that several of the council members knew that it was the group of ladies that had come through, and I was happy to hear about that help, and they were so thankful. So thanks again for that.
Absolutely. It was our honor. Very good. So I'll roll into the minor home repair program, which about 3 years ago was actually a pilot program with the group, and the goal is to provide up to $5,000 in grants so that we could help with minor home repair for those in that lowest level, again, that threshold. We have approximately $86,000 to work with for that. We have several projects. We have 3 projects completed for this phase. We're in like a third phase. And we also have 6 applications that we're working on right now. So that program, we feel, is a huge success and a huge win. I know we talked a lot about it for several years, and it really does give those of our residents that assistance that they need. And I will tell you that a lot of the residents that we're helping did not have hot water until this program. They needed handicap accessible bathroom facilities for their homes. We were able to help with that, handicap ramps and things of that nature. So really a big deal. And I think we had a gas line one too. That was a pretty serious situation. So, you know, these programs really help. One of the issues that we always bump into is sometimes the projects are much larger than what we can help, but we have other partners and we call out to our community from that perspective as well. So the benefit is that we're repairing and improving safety, preserving housing conditions, supporting residents' ability to remain in their homes. And we have like 3 visits this week. Mm-hmm. And this is a very long, it's a process because we go out there with the city, we look at the scope, and then we have to do an environmental study, and then we go through the approval of the application, which has a lot of documentation that needs to be approved. And then we will hire, once we get the scope of work and all of that is approved, then the foundation will hire a contractor, and the contractor will go out, give us bids, and then we start the project. And then we finish it. So it's very rewarding, and I know the folks are very grateful.
Right.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, that is it for this presentation. And again, if there's any public comment for this item, that is
Michael, I think you've done a fine job with CDBG and focusing on really measurable benefits for the program, and also keeping the eye on the fact that this is for low and medium income individuals or groups, and also being able to make sure that the variety of applicants that are applying and receiving these benefits. I know in the previous years, it always seemed to be the same group of folks that understood how to navigate these requirements, and almost became a consistent part of their business plan. So I think having a broader benefit to the community has been demonstrated. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion of
Mayor,
Councilwoman Furworth. You have a comment.
Thank you. I just wanted to say congratulations to you, Mike, and also to Marianne and the entire CDBG group. I think you guys are doing an amazing job. And to the other speakers who came up to explain your various parts of it, you know, all the community, I have lots of friends and neighbors who are not only involved in volunteering their services, being drivers and those kind of things, but I've also knocked on many doors to meet women who can't thank enough the volunteers that show up and help them stay in their homes. So just a really good way to end the meeting today on such a good note. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, I move to close the public hearing for the 2024 CDBG CAPER.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 5-0.
Right. Thank you.
So we're now on item 10C.
We are. Approval of city contract number 2026-106 with Yavapai County for the use of the Home of My Own program plan.
Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, Chelsea Walton, Community Development Director. And before we dig too far into this item, I just have a few thank yous. Number one, thank you to our Workforce Housing Committee. I saw some of them here earlier, but it looks like they had to take off. But and thank you to Mayor Pro Tem Cantelmi, because prioritizing this in the committee's short-term goals really got us off the dime, got this ball rolling. And also, thank you to Yavapai County, specifically Jeremy Dye and Mark Luson, who are with the Development Services. They put this program together, and they worked with us on putting the contract together so that we could appear before council today and share the use of this for the citizens and residents in Prescott. So this contract with Yavapai County allows the city to use their Home of My Own program, the plans for that program that will benefit the program participants in the city to reduce overall development costs, shorten permitting timelines, and really support the development of workforce housing in Prescott in a timely delivery. So per the Yavapai County Development Services, they responded to the current workforce housing crisis by designing 3 single-family home plans, and I'll take you through what those look like in a moment. And they're available for anyone to use to build their home within the Yavapai County jurisdiction. These plans are available at no cost to the citizens with this Home of My Own program. So process-wise, this is for our team similar to our model home plan process, which the goal is to provide new home plans that reduce architectural and drafting costs to the homeowner and shorten the permitting timeline. So it's important to note, however, that the use of these plans still require permit for the unique site that the structures will actually be built upon, as well as other site-specific information for the permit to actually be issued for construction. Also, there are conditions that may render a site ineligible to participate in the program. We've got some topography in Prescott, so a lot of those sites might require some unique engineering and floor plan layouts. So without further ado, I am going to jump into a couple of the plans. So they have a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, and a 3-bedroom floor plan. This is a depiction of a sample of their 1-bedroom. They range from 576 to 607 livable square feet. What's great about these plans is that they have options for a garage or carport as well. Here's the elevations for the 1-bedroom plan. You can see it's very simple. And again, the goal is to reduce construction costs and really get people in homes. This is the 2-bedroom floor plan, and their 2-bedroom floor plans range from 787 to 1,080 livable square feet, again with options for garage and carport. It's really great that they provide folks with options on how they want to see their home with the split floor plan and entry into the living, and it's just kind of a boon for people to be able to choose what their floor plan looks like. It's really great. It skipped past the 2-bedroom elevation. Again, very simple elevations. This one depicts the garage on the side there. And then the 3-bedroom floor plans are 1,300 to 1,613 livable square feet. And again, a couple of depictions of floor plan options there. So, and again, simple elevations. So per the contract in your packet, beginning on page 267 of your packet, and I'm actually summarizing the section that you can find on page 270 under the services and duties provided by the City of Prescott. So the plans are to facilitate construction of affordable housing within the city. That is our duty to uphold all of these things. The plans are not to be shared with any other governmental entity. No fees are to be charged for the use of these plans. And I will say that the plans are free. However, the permitting, there is still a charge to go through the review of the specific site, et cetera. The plans are valid for the 2018 building code cycle. When the 2024 codes are adopted, staff will come forward to council with either a contract amendment or a new contract for council consideration. And I would imagine that would go on a simple consent agenda, since it'll be an update for just the codes. Homeowners using the plans are still required to obtain all other services to construct the housing. So it goes in within the contract language on page 270. Things like the grading and drainage plan, the utilities, the geotech, the contractor, all of those things are still the homeowner's responsibility. And then the last point is the plans can only be used with no modifications before or during construction. These are sealed by an architect, and the point is to keep the costs down. And as Mayor Pro Tem can tell you, when you start, when you start making changes to plans and changing selections within the interior, it just racks up the cost. So, very simple. That concludes my presentation. The recommended motion is on page 266 of the packet. The Director of Development Services, Mr. Jeremy Dye, is here to answer questions, and thank you to Assistant Director Mark Lusan for all his help in getting the contract back and forth between our respective attorneys. So that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Well, can you estimate what the amount of time is saved by using these home of your own pre-approved plans, and how much cost is saved?
Costs?
I know that's hard to say specifically, but you should be able to have a general idea of those savings.
Cost savings, I don't have off the top of my head, but I can tell you as far as time, with the caveat that this home plan would go on a graded lot that's kind of pre-engineered, that there isn't a special slab or anything required, it would be similar to what we see with our mass graded subdivision model plan sites, which we get out in 5 days. Our turnaround time for a plan of that nature is typically a 5-day turnaround time. If that would be probably around 1, and then subsequent review times might be faster, but it significantly reduces when we don't have to look at anything above the site itself. So we still have to check for planning, setbacks, all of those things, and utilities and those types of things. But it significantly reduces the timeline. But Mr. Mayor, I don't have a cost for you off the top of my head, but I know that architects and drafts people around town are also strapped for time. So that's another element that would be saved as well. These plans, you can go on the county's website right now and look at them, download them. They're available just like that. So we're really happy to be partnering with the county to bring this program to Prescott.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chelsea. That was great. One of the things, and I can actually give you some pricing structure because I did that for 45 years. Now, architects do vary in their charges, but I would estimate on that 1,000 square foot unit there, that could run $7,000 to $10,000 or more. So that's a saving right off the bat. The other bonus that Chelsea didn't touch on is once we approve our workforce housing policy, this will be streamlined through. But as she mentioned, one of the biggest problems that could arise is the lot. If they have a difficult lot, or if it's on a grade, that cost savings will probably go away, because those kinds of lots are expensive to engineer, and they also take a little bit of work. But if we can get this wrapped into the workforce housing policy, it can be expedited. If the lot is nice and flat, it'll be a quick turnaround, I think. And then, Jeremy, if you could step up, I'd love to ask you a quick question. I know a few people that have used this in the county, and what has your experience been? Has it been thumbs up or thumbs down overall? I know there's little issues here and there that come up as we, There was a great bumper sticker years ago about the construction industry, and it was SH, you know what happens, and that's construction. And I know that there have been some issues that have come up. The cost, the additional cost above this tool of the savings of being able to not have to contract with a architect is making sure that the lot is perfect in order, and also utilities getting there. So what are the bumps in the road that you've experienced out there?
Yeah, thank you, and good afternoon, Mayor Good and Pro Tem Mayor Cantelmi and councilmen. My name is Jeremy Dye. I'm the director for Yavapai County Development Services Department, and with me here is Assistant Director Mark Lusan also. And just to kind of get to a couple of points that you had pointed out to us, we had initially started this program shortly before the pandemic in about 2020, and rolled it out. And so we had an initial set of architectural drawings drawn up by the architect. So a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, and a 3-bedroom. And over time, that was widely used and well received. And overall, our program has been very well received. In fact, not to brag too much, but Development Services won an award from the Department of Housing last year for our Home of My Own program. And so it's been very widely received. Over time, we have noticed a few of the little bumps in the road or hiccups that come with rolling out any program, and so what we did to kind of accommodate that is we took in feedback from the public as they were pulling these permits, as they were building their homes, things like that. There were things that came up that said we would much rather have this, we'd rather have larger windows, we'd rather have this or that feature. And because they are stamped by an architect, the plans are what they are. They can't be changed at all. So what we've done is actually we've rolled out a second set of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom. So we actually have 6 floor plans that members of the public can choose from. We incorporated the feedback that we took from that initial set of plans and really incorporated that into our next iteration of drawings. So a lot of what we're hearing now is, some very positive feedback on that second set of drawings. And to speak to that a little bit also, all 6 of those plans are available to the city of Prescott as part of this contract with Director Walton. So we're happy to try to be the best neighbors that we can for your folks as well. Just to speak briefly to a couple of other, potential issues that have arisen with us over time, the things that we've kind of picked up on. To your point, people do look at the plans, they have an idea in their head, and they would much rather have this feature changed. We can't do it. It's a stamped set of drawings. So that's really probably the biggest concern that we've heard from the public is they want to make a change, but they can't, and we have to stick to that.
May I?
Yeah, you can continue.
So the 2 issues that I had heard about, and I'm going to ask you this as a technicality, was the application of a stone veneer other than the lap siding that you had spec'd out on the plans. So I talked to some people that had that interest, and I know they ended up not doing it. But then the other one was another couple sort of got into a cost overrun situation, was interested in alleviating the porch on one of the plans. It was a $15,000 change. And that is not allowed because the way they had done the trusses over that. So they're very serious about that. Now, if they close it all out, the person that wanted to put just a stone veneer on the columns, after that, they're done. You're out of the picture, so long it's a, faux stone application or clone stone or whatever you want to call it. Then they can proceed with something like that if they wanted to slightly modify it.
Those types of modifications, and I'm gonna double check here with Mark just to make sure. But yeah, those
they're cosmetic.
are the types of things that are would be permitted and allowed. And of course, once the building is constructed, it receives its C of O. Down the road, those plans were actually drawn to be to allow for expansion too. So, somebody buys or builds the 2-bedroom home. At some point along the way, the family expands. They need to add on to the home. It's built for that. It's designed to be expanded. So changes can be made after that C of O is received too.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeremy. It's a great program.
Thank you.
Councilman Gambogi, do you have a question for Mr. Dye or
I do.
Chelsea?
So, how many options on houses do you have?
So, Mayor Good and Councilman Gambogi, we have 6 floor plans that are available. So we have 2 1-bedroom options, 2 2-bedroom options, and 3 2-bedroom options.
Okay.
2 3-bedroom options.
Are they built on site or prefab?
They are stick built, so they're
Stick built
on site.
And what's your cost, or what's the price per square foot for one of those stick built houses?
Going back to what Director Walton was saying, it's difficult to really estimate a cost per square foot because we've seen just the price changes so fluctuating prices fluctuating so much in the last few years. It's difficult to put a cost. When we started, the 1-bedroom home was actually able to be built for under $100,000. It was built around the $60,000 or $70,000 range. These days, it's not. When we go back and look at the presentation earlier on the housing affordability and availability study earlier in the meeting, the mid-range median price for a home in Yavapai County is around the $450,000 range. But if these can still be built in the $250,000 or $300,000 range, it's still cost effective.
If given what you just said, that means your house would be about half the price of another stick-built house.
We would certainly hope so at this point. And again, it's difficult to really pinpoint those numbers on any given time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know there was a huge increase in lumber costs, and those for the most part have moderated. But anything that has rebar and concrete on it is still high. And anything that's petroleum based, because you got a barrel of oil now is over $60 a barrel. So if we can ever start drilling and delivering more petroleum to the country, then we might be able to see some of those petroleum related products like composite shakes for the roof and things like that. All you can do is say, well, compared to another non-approved plan, you could save this much time and probably this much money on permitting. But, trying to say what the actual cost is going to be based upon the size of the parcel, and whether it can be easily graded and getting a slab put in, those kinds of things, they vary.
Mayor Good, if I could add one more point too, just to the discussion. We've had the program in place for about 5 years now, and in that 5-year time, we've issued 39 C of Os for those homes, and by and large, it seems like the 3-bedroom options are the most popular. But again, 39 families living in these 39 homes at this point. It doesn't solve the housing crisis, but in our minds, hopefully that's just another tool in the toolbox that we can use to help address that issue.
Yeah, there's definitely no silver bullet here. There's got to be so many different components to be able to try to create some affordable housing. This is one of them, and I think you should be congratulated for developing it and making it available. And now there's additional options. I think it's great, and I think it's great that we were able to adopt it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Gambogi, do you have another question?
I have a question for Chelsea.
Yes, sir.
So this is a stick-built house, but I thought you said you don't need a slab? Is this going to be a house with a foundation?
It's slab on grade, Mr. Gambogi. The plans include just a slab on grade. So my comment earlier was if you need something like a post-tension slab or some other kind of engineered foundation solution, you couldn't use these plans because they're set for that slab on grade. And the expectation for prices is that a homeowner could take these plans and go get bids from several different contractors to hopefully get a good deal.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. And also, Councilman Gambogi, remember when you're working with workforce housing, it's, for example, on the interior finishes, you wouldn't get granite, you wouldn't get high-end tile, you'd get Formica for the countertops, you'd get low-end carpeting, what they call builder series. So the finishes on the inside are not high-end. That's the attempt to keep the price per square foot down, which, as Jeremy mentioned, you could build a house like that for $200 a square foot. It's now more in the range of $300 to $350, again, depending upon what the finishes are. And the contractors, by the way, they don't honor any bids anymore past 30 days because of this situation with building materials. So you kind of have to do your homework before you actually start on this so you can stay inside your budget, because you can get tripped up with that really quickly. Thank you.
All right, we'll entertain a motion on this item 10C.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve contract number 2026-106.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 5-0.
Very good. So that concludes our agenda today. Am I correct, City Clerk?
You are?
All right, very good. So I do have a closing comment preceding Constitution Week. This came from one of our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson. The God who gave us life gave us liberty. Can the liberties of a nation be secure when we have removed a conviction that these liberties are a gift of God? So with that, I'll say God bless Prescott, and we're adjourned.